folks, this is Mr. MegaManFan, and if you like the content on this channel, please subscribe, leave a thumbs up, share the video, or click the notification bell. Any or all of those things really helps the channel out. Today we're reviewing the Retrobit Bluetooth wireless Sega Genesis 8-button arcade pad controller. This was recommended to me by my friend Sean, aka SS, as a nice alternative to the official Sega Genesis controller that was released by Nintendo for use with the expansion pack for Nintendo Switch Online. Now theirs was $50. This was $19.99 on sale from Castlevania Games, and that's not an endorsement. I just got it from them because it was available at the time for a cheap price, and again, my friend SS was the one who pointed out to me that it was available. Now, of course, the first place to start with a review is to get the product out of the box, so I've got this handy-dandy letter opener, which actually I prefer lately to using a pocket knife because it breaks through the seals quite easily and is very comparable to opening envelopes. I mean, it's a very thin piece of material that you're going through, whether it's the top of an envelope or the seal on the side of a box, one of those protective seals to let you know if the product's been opened before. And if you try to pick off the seals with your thumb, you either leave sticky residue on the box or you scratch up the box trying to get under the peel and get it going with your thumb. So I find this is just a better way to open boxes in general when it comes to controllers, especially if they have those seals on the side. Anyway, now that we've got the seals off of both sides of the box, it slides out with a nice illustration of the Genesis controller and the Bluetooth signal coming out of it. And then underneath we have an instruction manual and the controller in a tray, and presumably the cord will be underneath for charging it as well. Usually when I open these things up, I'm used to there being a receiver, but not in this case. Since it's Bluetooth, the computer or the device you're using it with is the receiver itself, as long as it has the Bluetooth functionality built in. Now, as you can see, it has instructions for connecting to various different things: Mac, PC, PS3, and of course Nintendo Switch, which again is why SS recommended this, and he even shared a list of controller configurations to use with Sega Genesis in the Nintendo expansion pack if you're using this controller. Perhaps he'll watch this video and comment below with a link to those instructions. I believe he found them on a website, or he wrote them up and submitted them to a website. I forget which, but I know he's got the source material on how to reconfigure and remap the buttons so that you can use this properly with Switch Online. But before we get to that, I want to test out the device, make sure it works. So I'm going to use my MacBook since it's already handy and has Bluetooth built in. And once I'm satisfied that it works, then I'll be ready to go through his configuration and set it up to try it with Switch Online too. But first things first, we got to get the charge cord out of the little bag here, get this controller charging, because it's obviously not going to do anything unless it's charged. So now we can see that the lights are blinking, showing that it is charging. You can use any USB plug, USB brick, and that will do the trick. And we'll let it get charged up a little bit while I'm trying it out. So we've got to get it to sync with the MacBook now. And it's not immediately obvious how you do that because there's no sync button on the controller anywhere. The instruction manual says to press home and X at the same time, but at first that didn't seem to be doing anything. So I kept trying, and nothing. Maybe there just wasn't enough juice in it yet for it to do anything. Let's see. Let's look around here. Is there any button on the side? No. Can I feel a button in the back? No. Flip it over. Is there a switch? Nope, it was just X and home. It just wasn't recognizing it at first, but eventually 2 LED lights at the top started blinking in tandem, showing that it was looking for a device to pair with, and then it just showed up on my list of Bluetooth devices on my MacBook. And now you can see that I am controlling Sonic the Hedgehog wirelessly of sorts. Obviously, I've got a cord in it, so I'm not completely wireless, but if it was fully charged, I could take the cord out, and I would be playing Sonic the Hedgehog wirelessly on my MacBook. and it works a treat. The D-pad feels nice, the action buttons all feel nice, the start button is nice, and even the triggers at the top, which I don't need for playing Genesis games, they're nice too. Although, I suppose if you're using something like OpenEMU or RetroArch, you could configure a function like load or save states or reset the console for those extra buttons if you're playing Genesis. Or if you're doing Switch Online, you're going to need those extra buttons for the menus, so it all works out. It's got all the buttons you need for regular Genesis play, and then extra buttons for extra functionality with other things, so this is really a versatile controller. It mimics the 6-button Genesis arcade pad, but it can do much more than that. Now I can see why SS recommended this one. And just to make sure everything was hunky-dory, I wanted a game where I was moving up, down, left, and right on the screen, and not just back and forth and jumping in a platformer like Sonic the Hedgehog. So using Ms. Pac-Man was a really good way to test out the D-pad, make sure I could move in all of the cardinal directions and turn tight corners, and everything seems to be on board. I feel like Pac-Man games are my favorite way to test out a D-pad, because if you're not able to move around freely in a maze, then what good is it? It's got to be able to control in any direction you want, anytime you want, and respond as fast as you want. And I'm using the non-traditional Ms. Pac-Man mazes, the ones that are like freaked out weird mazes that you would never get in the arcade game, to really push myself with this and not just be in my comfort zone of playing the familiar boards that I already know so well. Another game that would be good to test this with is Streets of Rage, because you've got a lot of different combos that you want to do with your punches and kicks and throws when you're taking out multiple enemies on the screen at one time. So being able to fluidly control all the different actions in this belt action scroller is what you need a controller for. If you can't do all the moves, then it's not a good controller for you. And again, this retro bit does not disappoint. It functions with no discernible lag on my part. Playing it this way through OpenEMU or Bluetooth on my MacBook, I'm not noticing any problems whatsoever. So my assessment of this controller is it gets a hearty thumbs up, and I thank SS for recommending it, and I can't wait to try it out with Switch Online. I'm Mr. MegaManFan for Genesis Does. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Genesis does. Genesis does.